Send more troops.
Well, good morning, and we're back again with the news. We have switched it this morning so that we could get Richard on with the story of Coots, a case that took place in the Crown Court here in 2002. And the man in question is actually still languishing in prison, having been found guilty and sent away for a very long time. Now the news headlines from the newspapers, and behind me the very busy Kevin is back and sorting out the beer. I expect he'll throw on my way at some stage during the morning, as he normally does. But the first up is the newspaper headline in the Metro, which is Suella's ticking time bomb, and she if I can find her, perhaps I'm not going to be lucky enough to find her. We should have her somewhere. Oh, there we go. Yes, here is Suella, and a very we can't actually at the moment because we filled up our little file. So we'll get back to her. Take it from me that it's Suella Braverman, who is the Home Secretary, and she is a very ambitious lady. In fact, she threw her hat into the ring for the last election when we had Rishi Sunak. Now she is taking aim at him again and ready to take over. And I think that basically what is happening is that despite the fact that probably he steadied the ship, that a lot of the Tories think that he is rather liberal, perhaps more left of centre or left to right, if you like, than they like. And so we are starting to see another fight in Westminster gearing up, even though some of the senior MPs think that the fighting has to stop. I couldn't agree more. There are too many problems for besetting us in our daily lives for the MPs and government to focus on than having another leadership contest, no matter how sympathetic people might be to either Braverman and some of the things that she suggested or not. But anyway, that is the headline in the. Actually, what it says is Suella's picking time bomb, and the front pages lead with the Home Secretary's comments on reducing immigration. The Metro reports that Braverman aimed a warning shot at Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as she told a conference goers in London there was no good reason why the UK could not train fruit pickers and lorry drivers to make up for labour shortages since the UK left the EU. So there we are. That's her battleground. Let's train more people and see if that's interesting. I'm not quite sure how to get rid of that. Have I shot myself in the foot? No. Right. So she's saying retrain, and you're not doing enough to solve this immigrant crisis, where we're bringing in people to fill jobs, and at the same time, very much trying to get lower the number of immigrants that we've got. Apparently, it's going to be 80,000 this year. Okay, the UK backs. There are the immigrants. The UK backs Ukraine to join NATO, and that's going to create a hell of a row as well. And let's take a look at the nurses, and then we can hide them, and that'll put us back on track. Right. Miss Braverman reportedly vying to take over from Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister, as two leading torchbearers in the Conservatives, the Home Secretary and Kemi Baranek, will jostle for position as they fight to succeed Mr. Sunak. Didn't know he was going to quit. The newspaper also carries an exclusive story reporting that the UK will back Ukraine's bid to join NATO, and with the PM offering assurance to the Ukraine leader during a surprise visit to the UK yesterday. So Zelensky was in the UK. Surprise, surprise. It certainly wasn't announced, and he was apparently taken to Chequers and feted, and that's where the promises of drones was made by Sunak. It's well. Let's see if we can find there's Braverman, who is filling the front pages today, and it is in the Guardian. Tory MPs tell Braverman quit the Prime Minister's pitch and stick to the day job. So, in other words, is if she's planning a takeover, which it looks as if she is with some of her speeches, is stop it, because we want to get on with solving some of the country's problems, and one understands that would be the case. But she carries on, Suella, in the Daily Express, saying white people should not feel guilty. Now, bringing out the race card is a brave thing to do. But I must say, I suppose that this will touch a lot of people. She's saying that the Home Secretary said white people should not feel guilty for their historical links to slavery. Newspaper reports Miss Braverman lashed out at political correctness, adding that the UK's white population do not exist in a special state of sin. Well, I think that will actually that'll touch some chords with some people. I know that there is a great swathe of thinking that why are we apologizing for these things which happened 3 or 4 centuries ago? But it's going to cause a great wave of protest in some parts of the country and some parts of the population. Right. The Daily Mirror, it takes a different focus. It turns its attention to the trial of David Hunter, a British pensioner accused of murdering his ill wife, Janice Hunter. The newspaper reports that Hunter wept as she spoke about his fondness for his wife, telling the court he loved her so much and that she had begged him to kill her because she was in such pain. So that's a landmark case taking place in London. The Daily Telegraph. Ministers warned of sharp rise in immigration by-election. Now, that's an odd headline, so let's see what they're saying. Carrying an image of Mr. Sunak embracing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky after the PM pledged to supply the war-torn country with custom-made drones to aid the Ukrainian war effort. The newspaper also leads on the Home Office's prediction of a further sharp rise in immigration before the next election, due to an uptick in foreign workers and students. I did have some foreign workers there, and I've lost them again. But once again, this is all down to Suella Braverman, and she putting the cat amongst the pigeons yesterday at a Tory conference. I don't know that it's a conference season. I hadn't seen much about that, but who knows what might be happening with some of these speeches. The Times, the fifth of all taxpayers, will now be in the in the 40p band. In other words, that's the higher rate of tax, and the whole thrust of Tory policy in the past is to lower income tax for as many people as possible. But now it's pointed out that with the if they're given the pay rise that they want, that nurses and some doctors and so on will actually go into this new bracket. Well, it's not a new bracket; it's there, but this higher bracket of taxation. And where's that going to sit with the electorate? So we've got a dilemma for the government. So it'll now increase to a fifth of taxpayers. The lower band being 20p, of course, and that's mostly what people pay who are on lower wages, also pensioners and so on and so forth. So it's all being stirred up in Westminster again. And Suella Braverman is using the opportunity to take a pitch at becoming the next Prime Minister after Rishi Sunak. I mean, how many more Prime Ministers do we want? Let's face it, love her or loathe her, is Margaret Thatcher lasted from something like 1979 to 1989, 1990, without a change at the top. Now we've had 1, 2, 3 within in a very, very short space of time. In fact, 4 within a short space of time. Is this going to carry on? Is this a sign of the new politics? It is very difficult to know what's going on in Westminster, and it's very difficult sometimes to read the thinking of the new politician, because I'll be damned if either locally or nationally I can see that they address some of the things that are hurting. And it was always the mantra of politicians is what's bothering the electorate, not what's bothering us. But that seems to have changed. And if I was a politician, I think I would be worrying about the next election, because there is no question that that hasn't changed, that the electorate is just as worried today as it always was about things that are close to home, the cost of living, the cost of food, the cost of energy, whether we are at war or not at war, whether we are being displaced by immigrants, whether anything can be done about the boat people. Those are the sort of things that exercise people's minds, not some of the things that we see in terms of, gosh, who is leader and who is not, and should we be doing this and should we be doing that? Now, let me, because you know that I love the Star. I love the Star. And it always gives me a bit of a smile because it says mass UFO sightings in Belgium. It's the dullest country in the world, it says. And close encounters of the boring kind. The Star has taken aim at the nation of Belgium, as according to the newspaper, UFOs have been buzzing Belgium, a matter of a grave disappointment to the publication, whose headline brands the country the dullest in the world. In other words, what he's saying is if the UFOs are going to buzz anywhere, it shouldn't be Belgium. Good for the Star. Right now, we've let's see. I'm not sure whether that's a polling station. Yes, indeed, is the polling station, because it's the Daily Mail goes on Michael Gove taking aim at Keir Starmer and accusing him of trying to rig elections, because Starmer has come out in the last few days and said 16 and 17-year-olds should be able to vote, and also non-nationals. In other words, you come in to take a job, and it happens to be polling day, is by all means sign up and vote. I personally believe we should be in charge of our own destiny. Inclusivity is all very well, but it can only go so far. And all we've got to do is, we haven't got very far to look at home, where what happens if the focus of administration goes from home. Lewis is beginning to become a crumbling town. It is people from outside who have been away, people who love Lewis, are coming back and taking a look at it and saying, my God, what's happened to our town? And what's happened is all the administration has gone to Eastbourne. And that has been a disaster of a policy, and all in the name of saving money. And yet we still have the third or fourth highest council tax in the country. So Gov blasting Starmer for bidding to rig the election so that his control will change dramatically is, well, it's one of those things that I'm afraid we will have to see how that plays out. Whether it will find favor with a changing public opinion, I have no idea. But let's, for the moment, let's go on to the Financial Times, which says that the Financial Times takes stock of the impending Turkish election, reporting that current leader, a very controversial man, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, is on course to retain power, extending his rule into a third decade. He's been there, the Iron Man, for a long time. It doesn't stop people going on holiday to Turkey, but certainly it is a controversial country which switches its loyalties left, right, and centre. So if he's there for another third term, we're in for another interesting ride on the national and international scene. Where are we in terms of that? 9:59. My goodness me, where does the time go? Let's just take a quick look at what we can expect with the weather today. And it's going to be 16 degrees. That's not particularly warm, and it's not particularly cool either. But it's going to start to warm up. Tomorrow is going to be cool. It's 16 degrees again tomorrow, and it's going to dip on Thursday to 15, which is even cooler. And the on Friday, it starts to heat up again to 16, Saturday 17, Sunday 18, and I can't quite make out what we're going to get on Monday. But it is improving. But we are going to have a gentle breeze. No suggestion today of any rain. So there you are. That's looking at the local weather. That's looking at the news headlines nationally. We're all back to front this morning because we've had Richard Barton on talking and discussing the case which he prosecuted at Lewis Crown Court and subsequently in the Old Bailey of the murderer, Brighton murderer, Coots, who has been sent away for a very, very long time. We also, for some reason, the entire system broke down this morning. And I'm happy to say that it seems to have now bounced back after doing what you often have to do with the computer, is knocking on the head, close it down totally, and get it cracking again. But if all the wonderful things that we're told the computers do, and we put our faith in them, particularly the retail banking sector, is you expect them to work, and they don't. Half the time they don't. And I just say to friends, I hope like hell I'm not on an airplane that's computer driven when the computer goes wrong. Let's think about that in terms of how much we rely upon our computers. All right, we'll be back in 10 minutes or so. Stuart Dolby will be talking to a very well-known politician, and we get some insight into politics over a decade or two. For the moment, I shall say to you, and I haven't got my beer this morning yet. Oh dear. I shall say for a minute or two, but we'll say about 10 minutes, and we'll see you back again. Toodle pip.